Your destination is called the Monastery of Zrazak. And this monastery is on the summit of a mountain, deep in this forested mountain range. Years ago, 200 or 300 years ago, there was a very prosperous castle located on the summit of this mountain and the surrounding lands that it controlled. The mountain itself is called Mount Toxton. And this particular castle was prosperous because, first of all, its vicinity to the mountain range and all the Dwarven and Gnomish kingdoms therein. Its position on top of the mountain gave it great advantage over the surrounding lands, so it was not susceptible to orc and goblin raids like all the other villages in this area. So it had, Mount Toxton had a degree of autonomy that many of the other settlements in Tetlateus do not have. It was not ruled by any of the larger kingdoms. It was kind of its own little thing. That all came to an end, and nobody knows why. What happened is trade with Mount Toxton dried up, and when people were sent out to investigate, many of them didn't return, and the ones that did reported that the entire castle had been destroyed, just obliterated. Reports of what happened are sketchy, but more modern investigations say it's probably dragonfire.
Oh, good.
So,
when in doubt, it's probably dragonfire.
Well, and I say that because a lot of the ruined buildings on the mountainside, and the keep itself especially, are scorched black, stones melted into each other, and it's just awful all around. The dragon, if that's what it was, must have also had ground troops that either it was commanding or it was allied with, because a lot of it was just all the houses and buildings were smashed in, razed down. Whether it was orcs or drow or something else, nobody knows. No survivors from Mount Toxton came out to tell the story, and it's all secondhand knowledge that came from investigations after the fact. That's ancient history. That happened 200-300 years ago. About 30 years ago, a small group of monks ascended Mount Toxton and reclaimed part of it and established a monastery, which they called the Monastery of Zrazak. And nobody has reclaimed this mountain. It just sat empty and silent for 200 years. But these monks have trained there, and these monks became allies of the Flumphs that live in the Underdark deep beneath the mountain. And over time, these Flumphs became known as Dreamseers. And that fit very well with this particular group of monks, the philosophy that they have. And so now, I'm not going to say it's a tourist attraction, it's way too far out of the way for that, but people have been known to travel to Mount Toxton and go to this monastery and have their dreams analyzed by the Flumphs. And this is what Fred tells you he has had done. And the dream that he had analyzed told him to go on a great voyage across the sea, and in doing so, he ended up on Captain Tarin's vessel. Now, the journey to Mount Toxton has been harrowing. It's very, very harsh terrain. The roads are not in good repair. There's nothing out here except this lonely monastery way up in the mountains. And so you all are exhausted. Not the least of which because anytime you come to terrain that has to be climbed, anything that's more difficult than simply walking over, you have to figure out ways to get Cube up and over.
Are we... Sorry, didn't mean to interrupt. Are we, like, literally satisfied exhausted?
No, you're not.
I'll just cast Fly on him.
So you're going to cast Fly on him whenever it comes time for him to...
I have 3 spell slots now. Like every if we have to rest for an hour after 30 minutes of flying, sure. I mean, I'm hoping it's yes. That's the general plan.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. That works for me. A month has passed since everybody was doing training. So anybody who is teaching or learning something, maybe I said we did this last session, but you can solidify whatever language or skill you were learning and begin teaching or learning something else from another player. I don't have anybody's character sheets open. I got to get those open right now.
So I know Aquan by now.
Since
Duke
my
knows Elvish now.
since my alchemists, went and disappeared on me, did I get the alchemist's kit training, or do I have to start over?
No, because nobody has been training you.
Yep. Okay.
So now I know Elvish, so if anyone wants to learn Gnomish or Elvish, I could teach it, or I could learn something else.
Khalil only knows 2 languages, and nobody wants to learn from him.
Does he have any skills?
I don't want to learn any more languages, because in a couple more levels I'm going to know them all.
You just know all the languages.
I
can technically teach someone like lockpicking or something if somebody wanted to learn that. Like that was would they have to? They would have to buy a thieves kit in the next town or something. But I could teach them the skills to use it, right?
Yeah, as long as you don't mind them handling your thieves kit.
I mean, while we're traveling, I would have it on hand if we were getting into any sort of situation.
Orphan, will you teach Eldove to play the Shawm?
Yes, if he wants to know.
Absolutely.
I'll teach him that stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
Everybody gave themselves full healing and whatnot from last session, yes?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, and Zook would have healed the damage from the dagger as well.
Yeah, long rest. That first long rest in the tower, I got that.
It's gonna be another 5 minutes. I forgot to level Fred up. Like he might need a level, so let's go. I'm gonna do that real quick.
Okay.
Khalil would like to pick up another language, possibly, if anybody would be willing to teach him.
Well, I'm already teaching the Sham to Eldove.
And I'm learning the Sham, which is a language.
I could teach you Elvish if you really wanted it.
Khalil already knows Elvish. He does a lot of dealings with the.
I could teach you Gnomish, but we haven't encountered any gnomes that don't speak Common. So we've only encountered really one gnome, and he was a turd.
He was kind of a turd, wasn't he?
Let's go to.
Wait, what land vehicles does Khalil know?
Land
Like, what are we
vehicles?
talking here? You have tools, land vehicles, and I have serious questions. Like
What?
a wagon?
Yeah. No, that comes in a lot of the backgrounds. Like soldier background probably gives that.
He knows how to use it badly.
So you can repair wagons and stuff?
Where do you see this?
On your character sheet.
Oh yeah, totes.
Well, Eldove is already learning a thing, so I can't learn from him, right? It's only one-on-one.
You can learn or teach.
Khalil, if you want,
I think that just
Tarin-
means I know how to like drive horses on a carriage or something like that.
Khalil, if you want, Tarin can teach you deep speech. He takes no responsibility for the end result.
That sounds useful. I think you should do that.
like he will do the whole point the finger up, take a deep breath, and then just walk away.
Okay, now it might be difficult to see on this map, so bear with me here.
It is a little bit.
I know this map.
You know this map? I don't know this map. It's just a random map that I found on the internet.
I know what this map is.
What's this map? What is it?
It's from what was that adventure campaign? Nodal and I
It was
did
the
this-
one
this-
with the deck of many things.
No, that wasn't it.
That's every campaign on a long enough timeline.
It was a 4E campaign that Pence ran that Nodal and I were in.
Yeah, the one with the deck of many things.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, it's a 4E campaign with the deck of many things. I'll look up the name.
Alright, but anyway,
well,
I know,
that's
I recognize
ridiculous.
the map.
That's not what this map is. I've repurposed it for my own nefarious plots. Now, in the days where Mount Toxton was a prosperous city, you can see the city itself was built up along the northern face of the cliff. You've got these switchback paths that lead up from the north and the east. The western and southern faces of the mountain were too steep. So they were not approachable from those sides. They did not require walls along the west or southern faces. So anybody coming to the mountain would approach the
road
gate.
of stairs does not exist.
So anybody approaching the mountain would approach from the east and come into the gatehouse here. You all are approaching from the west, and this road of stairs does in fact exist before I was so rudely interrupted. My balls in your mouth.
I'm sorry. I love you, Brick Road.
And the stairs did not exist back in the times of the keep. These were carved over the course of probably 10 or 20 years by the monks and their students. So you all who are approaching from the west will be able to climb the stairs And these stairs are very steep and very long, going all the way up the side of the mountain to where the monastery itself sits. So, just a quick rundown of what to expect on the summit of this mountain. This spot, number 20 here, that is the monastery itself. Number 19 down here is a place that Fred tells you is simply called the Quarters. And the Quarters, that's where guests stay, essentially, when they're here to speak with the Dream Seers or merchants passing through or whatnot. 21 and 22 here. This is the Ruined Keep. This is what was torn apart by what people are surmising to be Dragonfire. It was never rebuilt. It was left as rubble. The monks have no use for it. 18 was a church or a chapel at one point. And it's been totally repurposed. The monks tore down all the inner walls except for the load-bearing pillars. And the inside of it is kept dark, but there is artwork all over of swirling color patterns. And there's a huge incense burner in the middle, and it's a meditation chamber now. 20, back in the days of where Mount Toxton was its own keep, was once the mausoleum. The nobles of the town and the royal family in the castle would inter the dead here. The monks tore all of those out. They uninterred all the bodies, burned them, got rid of them, and repurposed the tombs as monk cells.
So you're saying this monastery was built on an ancient burial ground?
Yeah, pretty ancient.
Well,
And they fucking tore all that shit out, too.
They did.
Which, I mean, reasonable in D&D. Like, you find an ancient fucking crypt, you tear all the bodies out and you burn them.
Yeah, well, and these monks, their philosophy is very strange, and most people think that the whole Dream Seer thing is just nonsense. Most of the people who go after the Dream Seers are what we would call at least a little bit eccentric. So their life philosophy is hard to grasp for a lot of other people. Now, all of these buildings on the side of the mountain, on the western face, this is almost entire, like, this, you have this large forested area here, which is a horrible forest that nobody should go in.
Most go in the forest. Gotcha.
Most of the
What's the name of
walls,
the forest?
most of the walls are still standing, but the actual guard towers have been destroyed. The gatehouse is impassable now. The road leads deeper into the mountains and eventually into the Underdark and into Dwarf Kingdoms, Hill Dwarf, Stone Giants, things like that. But the road is not in use anymore because nobody comes to Mount Toxton by that road. So you all are approaching the giant stairway leading up into the monastery. It is very early in the morning. You've just risen and had your breakfasts. And here you are.
So there's no other structures over here where all this 2, 4, 5, and 6, all this is just ruins now?
I mean, there are ruined structures there, yeah, but they're there. What you see on the map is actually there. You see most of the actual houses and whatnot were built up on the shallower grade on the north end of the mountain. The southern end is mostly dominated by this huge forest.
Gotcha. Hey, Khalil.
yo,
I'll trade you a dice skill for card skill. I know that's not as exciting as a language, but...
oh, why the hell not?
Okay, we're learning those then.
So this is called the river.
Well, you can either teach or learn.
Yeah. You can't teach and then learn and then also teach and then learn.
Yeah, you can teach
Alright.
or learn. I'm assuming that as adventurers, you guys only have a couple of hours of downtime during your traveling and adventuring days, and you're using that time in study, either tutoring or learning, which is why you don't have time for both.
Khalil, do you want to learn dice first, or it's cool either way?
Well, I thought you were learning a language.
I just finished Elvish.
Oh, okay. Sure, yeah.
Okay, I'm teaching you cards. Mark it. Or I'm teaching you dice, rather.
Dice, yeah, because I already got cards.
Okay, sorry.
Okay, so I forget whose game show was this. Who was it who wanted to come to the monastery?
This is Tarin, isn't it?
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay,
Yeah, this is
so
Tarin's party down.
Tarin, you are in the lead.
Okay, well, climb some stairs.
Okay, and it takes probably the better part, maybe a little over an hour to climb the stairs all the way up. And
The
it's
gift to you said I'm not going to sing Snake Eater.
that's a ladder, not stairs.
Well, hold on, then I should be in the lead if we're doing that.
Wait, can Snake? I always forget. One of the snakes can cartwheel upstairs, and one of them can cartwheel downstairs. But I always forget which is which.
Raiden
Raiden
can cartwheel downstairs.
Okay. So, yeah, you come up over. You eventually get to the summit. I'm assuming you guys are taking rests coming up the stairs. Orphan might just be marching up the stairs because monk training. Fuck it, I'm used to this shit.
Yeah.
Go down the 3,000 stairs and fetch 2 buckets of water.
We're taking rest we're taking rest by swapping out who's sitting on the golem.
So you have the shield guardian activated and following you around.
Well, I wasn't gonna leave it in the fucking wizard tower.
Alright, we're gonna take a vote, and if Eldove is outvoted, so be it. For the shield guardian's name being Weldon.
Oh yeah, Weldon.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm all for
I vote
Weldon.
for Weldon.
We're all
I'm
for
alright with
Weldon.
that.
Okay, let me
Or
find...
great.
What am I gonna use for Weldon here?
Unless, what is Eldove backwards? You sure when we evolve?
No, we have to save that for when we fight Mirror Universe. Eldove uses cold spells.
And he has a goatee.
Fuck that guy.
That's a king. Shield guardian's
I'll
not
be
a
right
king.
back.
I was trying to get a rook.
There we go.
We'll shrink that a little bit. Alright, so there we go. Your shield guardian is a
What
rook.
size is Weldon?
He's a good 9 feet tall. The armor in that
Considered
room
large?
he's large. And
Oh, really? Wow.
yeah, all the suits of armor in that room were of proportions much too large to fit a human. But apparently the right size to fit 3 goblins each.
So yeah, Tarin's just in the lead, making his way up the stairs.
Okay. And when you get up the stairs, 2 of the acolytes from the monastery see you approaching and come over, and they're wearing monk's robes, but whereas Orphan's robes are like a solid color, these monks, their robes are... The fabric is swirled with color. Swirls and spirals. Similar to what you've been seeing in your dreams.
Are these monks wearing tie-dyed robes?
Pretty much.
That's what I was thinking.
Except they weren't generated by a tie-dye technique. They were generated by someone very specifically creating this pattern for a reason. It's not a random pattern.
Okay. Alright.
Right, spirograph. Gotcha.
I'll bow and introduce myself as Captain Tarin Kazmaier of Adric's Honor.
And they welcome you warmly, and they direct you over to the quarters, which is number 19 over here. If you're going to be staying for some time, you will find accommodations there.
Thank you.
Now, the quarters over here, this is a structure that did not exist back in the day. This is a newer wooden structure that was built by the monks. And it's quarters for guests and pilgrims who've made the journey to the monastery. Inside is a giant common room, very large common room, at the center of which is a raised dais. And on that dais you see a very bizarre instrument, like a silver metal instrument. It looks like a large stringless harp. And right now it's just standing
It's a sham.
there. It's a sham.
Nope.
There are no chairs or tables in the common room. There are circular rugs and mats laid out on the floor for patrons to sit at and to eat on. And you enter through the western wing of the quarters, and the first room you enter is a large library. And Fred informs you that the scrolls and the books collected here is stocked with works of art and fiction. There's nothing here to study. There's nothing here that he calls practical knowledge. It's all works of art. And in a variety of languages, poetry, song, collections of stories, and adventures handed down for generations. And Fred tells you that in lieu of payment in gold in this place, the monks collect stories. They expect a donation of verse or prose for lodging in the quarters or for a communal with the Dreamseers.
Got stories for them.
What did Fred pay with when he visited?
He says he can't remember which story he told, but it must have been a rather impressive one because they gave me the largest room downstairs with the most comfortable straw mat I've ever slept on. Oh, sorry about that. Yes, Eldove, I forgot to mention, but You will probably not find the accommodations here to be to your liking.
Oh, don't worry. I adjusted my expectations when I heard we were coming to a monastery.
So you're just gonna curl up with the shield guardian?
They're gonna spoon.
I figured the shield guardian was just gonna stand in the corner and watch me sleep.
Shield guardian won't fit in the door.
He's gonna watch you from outside of a window.
He's just gonna watch me through the window.
So where do you position the shield guardian, or do you try to squeeze him into the common
Do
room?
they have a stable?
No. There's no use for horses on the top of a mountain. Horses could not make the
like
trip
a
up.
storage room or something?
Yeah, do they have like a storage shed?
Maybe this little thing next to 19?
Where do the monks keep all their shit?
They're monks. They don't have a whole lot of shit.
Why
They
don't
gotta
you-
have like hose or something.
Why don't you send them into like the ruined keep?
Because that sounds like a terrible idea, Nick. I'm gonna get back in there. There's gonna be 3 licks and a warlock.
While you guys are standing in the doorway discussing what to do with Eldove's shield guardian, discussing where to put Weldon up for the night, you're approached by a woman who looks to be in her late 50s. She has straight white hair, and she's dressed in the robes of a monk. And she approaches you, and she notices Fred first, and greets him very warmly. Says, "Ah, Fred, welcome back. I see you've brought friends on your next pilgrimage." And then Fred quickly introduces all of you in turn, and then the woman introduces herself as Dayan. She is the seneschal. She is the overseer of the quarters. And Dayan greets all of you.
Do you know? Thank you for your hospitality. Do you have any idea where I could keep my shield guardian?
She looks at it. She looks up at it, and you don't see a look of confusion or fear on your face. It's like the request you made of her was just, "Hey, where can I kick my shoes off?" And then she looks back at you and says, "Will it be damaged by rain?"
I don't know, Brick. Has it been damaged by rain?
It is not. It hasn't rusted.
No.
It's not gonna rust unless it gets hit by something that causes the magical rust effect. You have this thing wade into a bunch of rust monsters and it's not going to fare well. But if it just gets rained on, it'll be fine. I think that's fair. She says if the rain won't hurt it, you can just leave it outside. I can't imagine anybody will make off with it.
I think that would probably be difficult, yeah.
One of Zook's
is it
friend
like-
stuffs it into a portable hole and runs down the mountain.
Yeah, I'm sending messages to the guild as we speak. Guys!
So, go ahead and put Weldon wherever you want him to stand.
Alright, I'll do that when I get back in the room.
Okay. And Dan asks you, Tarin, since you're at the lead of the group, how long will you and your companions be staying?
Not sure. Probably a few days. I was hoping to speak with the Dream Seers.
She nods. She says, well, that's what we're here to arrange. She's alright, well, then I will take each of you in turn into the quarters and we'll sit and discuss the subject of payment. And Fred volunteers
separately?
to go first. Fred says, you won't believe the stories that I've brought. And he opens up his satchel and it's overflowing with the scrolls and the books that he's been filling up the whole time you've been adventuring with him. And she takes Fred inside and she tells all of you that you can feel free to relax in the common room, let the road slide off of your body, rest your weary bones. We do have a very strict rule. Alcohol is strictly forbidden, but we can provide you with a variety of calming teas, sparkling water from the hot springs. We have a great iced milk flavored with honey. She rattles off all the drinks that none of you people want to drink because you're all alcoholics.
Wait,
I think
forbidden
Tarin's the
to
only
carry
alcoholic
or
here.
forbidden to drink?
Both. Well, forbidden to drink in the common room. You can have it, but you can't drink it.
Okay.
And
Okay.
they don't serve it.
I don't know, that milk with honey sounded pretty good.
And she's, yeah, I'll take your spot at the mats on the floor. And it's not comfortable sitting on the floor. They don't have chairs or tables in here. But yeah, everybody is brought a drink. They bring you out a plate of flatbreads with some kind of sauce to dip it in. Enjoy.
Munch on the
Wait,
bread.
do they not have meat at this monastery?
No. Well, they do. Because there are a group of rangers that actually live on the mountain.
Oh, thank God.
So you'll have to negotiate with them to have meat brought up for you. But that could be arranged as well. There are a couple other patrons in the common room when you all come in. Sitting on one of the circular mats in one corner of the room, looking very uncomfortable and very unhappy, are two grossly obese human men.
Yuck.
And they're sitting there, and you could tell whatever they've come here for, they haven't found it, and they just haven't slept well in God knows how long, and they haven't eaten what they're accustomed to for God knows how long, and they haven't had a glass of wine for God knows how long. These guys look very out of place. And towards the center of the room, closest to the musical instrument in the center, is a very tall, pale-skinned human man clad in full plate armor. And he has a satchel slung over his shoulder in such a way that the sheath for his greatsword sits over top of it. Like, if you were to grab this satchel off his body, it wouldn't come loose without also dislodging the greatsword.
So, pale skin, like key skin pale skin, or
Keyskins are dark skins.
oh, right.
They're Egyptians, basically.
And he's dressed in not like adorned full plate armor. It doesn't have like a sigil on it. He's not he's not bearing like a coat of arms or anything like that. But he's sitting enjoying a simple meal to himself. And the third person you see, there's not really a shadowy corner of the common room. It's been constructed in such a way that natural light floods in. This place is all about light and color. But an old gnome, his face is just covered in this beard, this bushy beard. Like, you're not even sure where his eyes or his nose holes are. It's just a face just full of hair. You can see the armpit hair coming down out of his sleeveless shirt that he's wearing.
Grandpa?
Oh man.
And he's sitting.
We've had enough known.
He's sitting cross-legged against one of the walls, and he's scribbling something furiously into a notebook. The food's not great. Orphan's probably accustomed to this kind of fare.
Yeah.
It's meant to fill your belly, but not to satisfaction. And
So wait, these are the bullshit kind of monks?
These are
not
the
like the... Ah.
no, these are the bullshit kind. What kind of monks were you expecting?
I was hoping for like the beer-making, like food-cooking monks.
Eldove.
No.
Magic up some
you
good
wanted
flavor.
some Trappist monks here?
Magic up
Yeah.
some flavor into this shit.
Oh,
Yeah, what are you talking about? You
yeah, I'm absolutely magic up some flavor into this shit, but I mean, come on.
and
I wanted someone to teach me some new flavors.
you guys are sitting here for about an hour, and eventually the door opens, and in walks an old man, maybe 60 years old. And this is a man who was born and raised and lived in the woods. Like, if you could think of what the stereotypical 60-year-old ranger would look like, that's this guy. He's got his bow slung over his shoulder and a quiver. He's got short swords hanging at each side, and he's holding in his hand, by the ears, he's got strung up several hairs. And he walks in, and when the fat guys in one part of the room see him, their faces light up, and one of them rummages around in his sack, gets out a fistful of gold coins, and walks over, and they exchange some words that you can't hear, and then the hair and the gold exchange sides. The old ranger puts all the gold into his pouch, and he walks out the door. This is more money than you guys have ever seen paid for a couple of scrawny rabbits.
Alright, so I'm going wabbit hunting later.
Now, I'll be damned if I'm gonna pay a fistful of gold coins for some rabbit.
And they summon one of the acolytes out to have the rabbit skinned and prepared for them.
If we're still waiting around for a while, I wanted to go talk to the pale skin guy.
To the fighter?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, it's going to be another hour before Fred's done. You guys know Fred. He goes on and on.
Alright.
Wait, the dude with the armor? That guy seems sweet. I'm gonna head with you.
No, yeah, Khalil's kind of interested in this guy too.
Okay.
So Orphan leads his train of people over to the fighter.
What's Tarin
You
doing?
like your armor.
Tarin is just sitting there eating, taking in the scenery.
Okay.
You can probably predict that Zook wants to go talk to the gnome because, hey, God, a gnome.
The man regards you as you come up, and he puts his food down, and he lays his hand over the satchel, which is sitting in his lap, and he nods at you. Good morning.
Good morning to you.
Good morning.
I'll introduce myself. I'm called Orphan. These are my friends, Eldove and Khalil.
Khalil Navarra of the Keyskin Wallwalkers. Pleasure to meet you.
And he nods again and says, well met, all of you. I am Polonius Mock, adventurer. He's not going to hand you a business card.
Wait,
I'm just taking a second to write that down.
Okay.
wait. Do we have Cube with us? Where's Cube? Is he in here with us?
Yes.
What did you tell Cube to
Oh
be?
man.
I just told Cube to stick with me.
Okay, so
So
yeah,
he's sitting by Tarin while they eat.
Cube is sitting by Tarin, and he is
Are you
getting...
using Cube as a table?
No, I took the table off him, remember?
Like, he still has a flat head, though.
Yeah.
Is Cube eating? Are you telling Cube to eat?
Yes, I'm making Cube eat.
And
Is Cube damaged?
Cube is eating dutifully. I would assume not, because any damage he sustained on the road, you all would have healed. Unless you specifically say that nobody's paid any attention to his wounds that he suffered on the road.
No,
then he's not
no,
doing
I
it.
can't imagine we would have.
I
what
was
was this- what was
specifically
this fellow's
asking
name
so
again?
that we could get him cured here. So.
Oh, no, he's not suffered any kind of... I mean, he did on the road. He suffered some bruises here and there, falls and skirmishes with wolves and ogres and whatever. but-
Magical healing took care of that.
Yeah. And he also, he heals naturally as well. So, unlike your shield guardian, like if your shield guardian gets a ding or a nick or whatever, the metal doesn't reform unless a metal worker works on it. Whereas Cube, the metal will actually solidify back together like its skin.
That's the advantage to being a living construct.
Yeah.
The Brick Road.
So-
What was this fellow's name again?
Polonius Mock, M-O-K.
The disadvantage of living constructs now. Back talk.
And he introduces himself as Polonius Mock, adventurer and recent dragon slayer.
Oh, what kind of dragon did you slay?
It's a particularly vile red dragon. And he rattles off the name of the mountain that he fought this dragon inside. He says that he and his companions crept up on it while it slept. Took the element of surprise, as I was led to believe dragons were more difficult to slay. But I'll bear the name gladly.
How big was it?
This was a full-grown dragon, I would say. I don't know, how large are full-grown dragons in this edition? Oh, they don't actually give length, they just give sizes.
Fucking large.
To answer that, I'd have to look up my 2nd edition monster manual. But he tells you he tells you something that sounds sufficiently impressive.
I feel like it would fit within a 10-foot cube.
And he's not really sure what to make of that statement.
Oh, come on. That wasn't in character. Come on.
I never know with you.
Let's see, who was in the pyramid with me? That was Eldove and Zook, correct?
But Zook's not talking to this guy right now.
Yeah, I know.
Where is Zook sitting with Tarin?
So Zook was going to wander over and talk to the gnome, probably at the same time this is happening.
Okay.
I'll point to Zook, and then I'll also gesture to Eldove, and the three of us a few months ago took out a dragon, probably not as large as the one you slayed, but
This is
we're kindred spirits in that regard, I suppose.
a blight on the good peoples of the world, these creatures are. Would that we could wipe them all out.
All the chromatic dragons.
And he gives you this curious look, like he doesn't understand what you mean.
Yeah, I'll look at Eldove like, what are you talking about?
You know, like
Dragons
the
are
red
dragons,
ones
yo.
and the white ones.
I've only known blue ones.
So when it comes to dragons,
Which-
my friend, I assure you I'm colorblind. And then he starts singing Ebony and Ivory.
Wow. Can I call this name?
He hasn't noticed that you have dragon scales, if that's what you're getting at.
This guy isn't the right kind of dragon racist.
Where dragons are better than everyone?
No, the right kind of dragons are better than everyone. There's also shitty dragons.
So what kind of conversation are you looking to pursue with this man? Because if you don't stop him, he's
I'll
gonna...
just ask him. I'll just
Doing
ask him
swapping stories mostly.
what brings him here.
You ask him what brings him here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's an ancient forge on this mountain, dating back to the time when the mountain was inhabited. This legendary dwarven smith supposedly works it. I'm here to commission him. But so far, he has not agreed to see me.
Fascinating.
What do you want commissioned?
He says, a great axe. A weapon befitting a man of my stature and skill. And he pats the satchel. So I've got good money to pay him, but this is the only dwarf I've ever met that doesn't speak gold.
So you have no interest in the dreams, the dream interpreters?
He shakes his head. I don't buy into any of that.
Fair enough. I find it a little dubious to myself.
Zook,
Yeah.
you walk over to the mound of facial hair under which supposedly sits a gnome. Are you trying to sneak up on him, or are you just approaching him?
No. I'm very upfront. I'm just walking. I'm just walking up to him.
Are you gonna steal his wallet?
No. I might try to steal that guy's satchel later, but no.
Wow.
As soon as he's aware that you're walking towards him, he slams the book shut and focuses his eyes on you, or where you think his eyes might be. You see some breaks somewhere in the facial hair on the top half of his head that you surmise might be his eyes. And he immediately starts launching into accusations. Says, who are you? Who sent you? Was it Zilbis? It was Zilbis, wasn't it? Zilbis sent you. Well, you can tell Zilbis I don't have to pay him back. See, I want it fair and square. So you go back to Zilbis and tell him I don't owe him a cent.
Oh, whoa. Calm down. Zook puts his hands up and tries to look as non-threatening as possible and says, I don't know, Zilbis. I'm a stranger here. I was just coming over to say hi. I haven't seen many gnomes around.
What kind of hair does Zook have?
Like style or color?
Like, altogether.
I mean, he actually keeps it pretty tightly cropped. I just never pictured it as anything other than brown, maybe like a reddish brown.
And what's his complexion like, being a forest gnome?
I mean, it's not super dark because they don't get a lot of sun in there, but I imagine it being sort of bronzish.
Okay. This guy has the places on his body where you can see his skin. So he's got his bare arms, over top the giant bushy, armpit hair that's poking out. His skin looks like slate gray.
Okay.
As you approach, and he looks at you very, very skeptically. Says, I don't know. You lot from the forest, all of you know Zilbis.
I know it's probably hard to believe, but I'm probably not from the same forest as him.
He says, all right, swear it.
I swear I do not know Zilbis.
Swear it on your mother.
I swear it on my mother.
And her mother.
And her mother.
And her uncle.
And her uncle.
And what was his name?
Wait.
A dirty cheat you are! Zilbis sent you, I knew it!
My mother's uncle?
No, you're trying to turn it around, you're trying to confuse me is what you're doing.
I love it already. Give me 1 second. My mother's uncle, his name was Body Knock.
Body Knock?
Body Knock?
The first thing
Body
I saw
massage.
in the Body Knock.
He's taken aback for a moment. I've heard of no gnome named Body Knock. What are his accomplishments? What's his resume?
He was just a forest gnome. He didn't really do anything.
Forest gnomes don't do anything. They're lethargic, lazy bastards. That's what I say. Zilbis doesn't believe me, but I know better than him.
I hate gnomes.
We keep meeting up with bullshit gnomes.
I know.
You see behind him, he has a jug of something, stoppered with a cork, and he reaches back and he grabs it, and he fills a little stone cup that he has sitting in front of him. And he grabs it up, he snatches it up in his hand, he hands it to you, he says, there, drink that down. Drink that down and we are
is-
brothers. Drink it down and we
what
are friends. If Zilbus didn't send you, because forest gnomes can't. I'm not allowed to talk about it here. I'm not allowed to say it. Not in this house. It's water. Understand? It's water. Nobody has to investigate. Just drinking water here.
I'll look over my shoulder while I'm talking to this guy, this weirdo, and he's like,
At this point, Mock has stopped telling his dragon stories regarding the crazy gnome in the corner, and you see a look on his face like, "Yep, there it goes
Does
again."
this happen often?
"What was it? Who is that guy?" I'll ask Mock. Who
Mock
is that
says
masked man?
that's an envoy from one of the gnomish kingdoms or another. He apparently comes here every so often carrying communications back and forth. The monks here have some sort of alliance with the gnomish kingdoms. I don't know what it's regarding. What does Zook do?
Zook says, "I'll drink. I'll drink with you. You gonna have one?"
Well, he only has one cup.
He only has one cup.
Yeah, and he's offering to you right now.
Can I use my sleight of hand to make it look like I'm taking a sip without just like tipping it up to my mouth without sipping it?
Where are you gonna throw the drink? Because you could probably fool him, but as soon as he checks the cup, he'll know you didn't drink it.
Oh.
Like you could use sleight of hand to like pour it down your collar or something.
Well, how would that not show a wet spot in my crotch or something?
I'm assuming you're wearing armor.
Yeah. Zook does that. He makes it. He makes like he's going to drink the seg, but he actually kind of pours it down his back.
All right, make a sleight of hand check.
All right.
This is gonna be good. It's gonna be good.
Lucky die.
That's a 10 plus a 9 plus an extra 4.
Okay.
Wait, I'm double skilled in sleight of hand, aren't I?
If
Well, I'm
you're-
actually not.
Yeah,
But-
you're
so 10 and 9.
you throw the liquid back and you make it look like it's. Does Zook have a beard?
Yeah, but it's tightly cropped.
Tightly
but
cropped,
yeah,
okay.
he does have a beard.
You make it look like you've drunk it down. What you're really doing is you spill it down at the side of your face, so it goes down in the collar of your armor, and then you wipe your face clean with the back of your glove, say, "Ah, refreshing," and hand him the cup back. And he seems very pleased. And he takes it and he fills the cup up again, and he slams one back. And then he pushes the jug back behind him and sits in the way so you can't see it anymore. He says, yes, now I know you're not a forest gnome. You're just a very strangely colored tinker gnome. That's what you are. One of the ones down from the hills. A brother of mine you are. Let's sit. Let's chat. What is your name? Introduce yourself properly, son.
I tell him that I'm Zook. I admit of the forest. I just tell him that my name is Zook, and that I'm an adventurer. I'm here with some folks who are here to see the monks. The dream, what are they called? The dream seers?
Yeah.
The Dream Seers. And now that he is convinced that you're not a forest gnome and you have no idea who Zilbus is, he's very welcoming. And you can chat him up.
I ask him what brings him here.
Tells you he's an envoy of one of the greatest gnomish kings, one of the greatest Sverfneblin kingdoms of the Underdark. His leader is Wilgrim the Bald. And for years, the gnomes have been locked in a war with a nearby Illithid kingdom, and this war has been going back and forth for as long as anybody can remember. Ever since your mother's uncle got his stupid name, that's for sure. But
Oh, did he tell me his name, actually, when he was rambling? I can't remember if I
He
called
did
him or
not.
I asked him what his name is, actually, too.
he tells you, oh, Cleric. Cleric's what they call me. Cleric Copperhat, though I don't wear a copper hat anymore. The name doesn't fit. I keep telling them that. It's Zilbus's fault that it stuck. But you may call me Cleric.
And I ask him what his, now that he's convinced that I don't know who Zilrich is, I ask him what his beef with him is. Like, what happened?
Zilrich.
He looks outside one of the
Zilrich.
windows and sees that the sun is not yet quite midday. Says the story would be too long. And he has this look of just contempt on his face. But I'm here on business for Wilgrim the Bold. We have allies here. The monks, they're good people. They're good fighters. They see into dreams. Very, very useful. Very useful when waging a war against psychic abominations from hell.
I'm sorry, who did he say he's at war with?
An Illithid kingdom, mind flayers.
Oh, mind flayers, okay.
So I'm guessing that at the other table, we're not really hearing the conversation, except every so often we hear psychic abominations from hell.
I mean, you're definitely hearing Kelric whenever he gets worked up. He's coming back down to a more reasonable conversational level. And Mock turns his attention back to you guys. And he starts telling you the story all over, because he lost his place. He's going to start over from the beginning about how he slayed this dragon. And you get the sense that he was with another group, like he was with a group of adventurers, but he's really kind of downplaying their contributions to the fight. To hear him tell it, he is the sole dragon slayer of the group.
I want to know what they.
No, I would share the adventures.
I have understanding about that. I was the sole dragon slayer of our group.
I will glare at fucking Eldove. That's not how I remember it.
What do you tell him about the fight with the blue dragon?
Yeah. I tell him about scaring the dragon from the treasure.
Do you tell him
That's
that the
fair
dragon
enough.
was a hatchling?
Well, we already told him it was a tiny one.
Oh, well, he's not. He's listening to your story politely, but he is not impressed.
Yeah, we weren't trying to
Okay.
say like, oh no, it's this huge fucking dragon.
And he starts telling you, like, the thing about blue dragons, they tend to live underground in caves made of sand. They can collapse with their breath weapon. Very dangerous. Never fight a blue dragon underground. That's very contrary to other types of dragons. Usually you don't want to fight the dragon in the open air where they have the advantage. But the blue dragon underground, they have the advantage. And he launches into tirades like that.
And we still beat it with its advantage.
Yeah, Orphan will listen
So
to
here-
nod the whole time.
Here's the thing, though. If it gets underneath some of the sand, I could then turn the sand to glass, and then the blue dragon would be trapped.
And he just laughs at that. Says, a blue dragon that doesn't have the strength to shatter glass is no sort of dragon at all. You'll learn that one day, young man, when you grow up and fight a large adult dragon, a fully sized one. Should you be so lucky. And he looks over at Tarin, sitting with Cube, and he points, says, what's that?
What's that?
Tarin is sitting here with a book in front of him reading. He has his mage hand out, holding the book, and he's eating with his hands.
That's Cube.
That's the most original name I've ever heard. Cube has finished all of the food because he was never ordered to stop eating. And once he finishes all the food, he just sits politely. What book are you reading, by the way? Like,
The book of law that I had in my starting equipment that I've never used up until now.
Gotcha.
Laws of a land that does not exist in this world. I love it.
Yeah,
Wait,
I
yeah.
think that might be a worthwhile story if there's any,
Is it the book of laws or the book of cosmic law?
I'm looking for anything like legal precedent that might make a good story from laws from another land.
Okay. So,
You're not going to tell him about the onion?
what else...
That's more of a diatribe than a story.
What else are you guys attempting to get out of the conversations with Cleric and Mock?
I ask him. I want to ask Cleric. So, he already told me that he's from the Underdark gnomes. Now, I wonder if Zook would even really know about Underdark gnomes.
Because you're a gnome, you would. The Sverfneblin are deep gnomes. They live deep. Whether or not you have them where you're from, I'll leave up to you in the world that you come from. But
I mean, probably. I just don't know if I would have interacted with him at any point. Probably not.
they live in the Underdark. They kind of split the difference between gnome and dwarf. They are known to be very practical, very fierce fighters. You kind of have to be if you live in the Underdark. So they're not
Aren't they douchebags?
Yeah, I was gonna ask
a
what they're
little
like.
bit, but they are good aligned. They're loyal allies. They're powerful, but because of where they live and the environment that surrounds them, they're not like the happy-go-lucky gnomes that like Zook is.
I kind of ask him just in general. Like, I'm not super familiar with, and without, I wonder how he's going to react to this. I'm not super familiar with the gnomish, kingdoms around here, and I kind of ask him if he can kind of briefly, he's obviously from the Underdark, and there's some forest gnomes, and kind of what's going on with the gnomes around here.
Then he starts the story 47 generations ago when the first bald king came to power, and that's your action for the next 3 days.
Okay.
I like how he's like, oh, it takes too long about the whatever else he was asking about.
If
but
you
then-
don't interrupt Cleric and you actually sit and let him talk, I will give you advantage on every gnomish history check for the rest of the campaign.
How long would it actually take? Well, because we only have an hour, so I'm going to get pulled away. So I'm only going to get an hour's worth.
You're not
going to
get pulled away first. You'll get a couple hours. We can pull you away
Yeah.
last. It'll be 6 hours.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I actually think that at this point, Zook's kind of feeling a little homesick. This is kind of thing I was talking about at the beginning of the thing. He's like, not tired of adventuring, but I think Zook would actually just sit and talk to the old man until his term gets called.
No, that's fair enough. And he's actually very knowledgeable about all kinds of gnomes, not just deep gnomes. There are hill gnomes. They live in this area, like in this kind of area, on top of and inside the smaller mountains before you really get into the stony wall area of Tetliteus. There are no hill gnomes in this geographical area where you guys are now. Basically, nobody lives here. But what you learn about forest gnomes is they are in very, very short supply, which you already knew. But they have a strong attachment to sylvan elves, which are also very, very rarely spotted, if ever. Forest gnomes are considered to be closer to fey creatures in Tetliteus than they would be to like a humanoid creature, which is why he reacted very strongly negatively to you at first. He thought you were a forest gnome. He has beef with this forest gnome who tricked him at one point in the past, so he jumped to that conclusion.
Does Zook have those horrible 4E gnome eyes? Like the full black, like, terrifying death eyes?
No, that's a Tiefling thing in 5e. Zook has irises and pupils.
They're the worst. They're so creepy.
Does he tell me like where about the forest gnomes are? Like, I know he has beef with them, but would he tell me like, where they're at? Nobody knows.
They and the Sylvan Elves, you don't find them unless they want you to find them.
Are they nomadic, or is it just they're hidden?
They're just hidden.
Okay.
Yeah, he regales you with the whole history of the Bald Kingdom, basically. And he's got all the hair on the front of his face, but the top of his head is paint bald. He shaves it.
And I ask him, so is that just custom over there, the shave your head in your kingdom?
And yeah, it's the custom. So what are you guys looking to get out of Mock for the rest of the conversation?
I'm pretty much done with him. I just wanted to ask
I've had enough of dragon racism
and why he came. But if he's just here to have a sword made, I'm not too interested in that.
Okay. After a few minutes,
a dragon sword.
Maybe.
And it wasn't a sword; it was an axe.
Great axe.
Oh,
yeah.
right.
After 20 or 30 minutes, one of the monk students, whichever one Dayan has working the common room today, comes out with the gentleman's rabbits prepared for them, serves it in a bowl of brothy soup, and you just see all of the life and excitement drain out of their face to see that their rabbit has been served to them in this flavorless kind of broth. Like, they wanted to eat like a roast rabbit, but that's not what they got. But they start digging into it, happy to have meat. And about 20 or 30 minutes after that, Fred strides back into the room. He says, well, I've earned my lodging and my appointment with the Dream Seers. He's like, you guys don't have to worry about any of the adventures we've had. I told all the stories. They've been recorded. So no need to thank me.
That only took an hour?
He was gone for 2 hours.
Yeah.
Oh.
And which one of you is going next?
Tarin will.
Okay. So,
And he'll
Tarin...
say over the mind link to each of the guilds. He'll tell Eldove as he's going. Well, Fred wasn't along for Udok's village, so maybe you could tell them about that. I'm going to try something for my own world.
I'm going to show them this sweet horn that I got. Fred didn't have props.
And the idea is that you can tell that to the rest of them as I go. So, I go.
Tarin stands up to leave, and Cube stands up and starts walking behind you. And Fred says, whoa, whoa, whoa. Tarin, you have to go alone. Cube will have to tell his own story.
Cube, wait here patiently for it to be called.
And Cube nods / bows. Tarin, you're directed into a small chamber. Going into the library, there's a stone staircase that leads down to a basement level. And it gets colder as you go downstairs. And Dayan is waiting there in an almost featureless room. Just stone walls, 2 wooden chairs, and a table in between them. I'm sorry, not chairs, rugs. What am I thinking? There's no chairs in this friggin' place. So she's sitting cross-legged on the rug on the floor. And in between them you see an uncut crystal of some kind that is a very pale green color.